There's just general, like, what am I doing today?
Yeah.
It's like breaking any part of your routine. It feels off.
Yeah.
And then, like, physically, I don't feel any better. Like, I come off the rest day feeling like rusty and sluggish. Yeah. And I'm like, well, if I just hadn't had the rest day, I would perform better. And I guess I learned that about myself back when I was a runner and a rock climber, because with rock climbing, I never took rest days. And the reason, like, in the first year that I started climbing, I climbed every day for a year. Didn't take a single day off. Jeez. Which is absurd. I was just so obsessed. Yeah. And then randomly I was like, oh, let's try a rest day. Let's try that. And I took a rest day. And then the next day I got DOMS, which is like delayed onset muscular fatigue, right? Like all the fatigue that had been building up inside my body suddenly was like released. And my forearms took the brunt of it, because suddenly the body was like, okay, we need to repair. Yeah. Went into hardcore repair mode, and my forearms were just nuked. I couldn't like pick up milk cartons or I couldn't grab anything. Yeah. And they were like that for a week and a half. Jesus. Couldn't do anything. So I was like forced to not climb. The rest day forced me then to take more time off until that muscular fatigue or that soreness went away. And then I went back to climbing. And what was interesting is, like, once I went back to climbing, I could climb like 20 days. I could climb like indefinitely. There was no problem. There was soreness, but there wasn't that like just brutal wipe me out for a week soreness. Yeah. And so then I just got into this routine where I'd always climb a little bit every day and like just keep the muscles moving, and I'd never get that like just complete obliterated soreness. And every now and then I would take a day off and the same thing would happen. Same thing. It was like clockwork. I would just get destroyed with soreness. And I was like, well, what's the point of this? Like, because I wasn't coming back better. I wasn't coming back stronger. I wasn't performing poorly before that. You know, it was more of like a mental thing where like, oh, I just need a mental break today. I don't really feel like going out to the crag. I don't feel like going to the cliffs, but it wasn't a physical thing so much. And yeah, I just hated it. I was like, I'm not going to take rest days anymore. So like, I just kind of baked that into my ethos. And same thing with lifting. I just found that like, just lift something else that day. Just do something. Yeah, do something else. There's no reason to take a full 24-hour rest day. It's like, that's such an arbitrary amount of time anyhow. Yeah. Right? It's like, who came up with that? Where our ancestors, you know, on the savannah, who are like the apex athletes, like, did they take a day off? Where they're just like, today we're not going to hunt. We're not going to gather. I'm just going to sit around. I guess that maybe like the Sabbath. That's like the concept of it, is like you take a rest day. But like, I find it really against my genetics to rest.
I think so. And what's interesting, I actually want to dive into this, which is that you said you didn't get stronger from those rest days. Because I would imagine, typically, at least, you know, what most people think is when you get a rest day, it's so that you come back stronger. But you did it for a year.
Yeah.
And then you didn't come back stronger. Whereas I would imagine the compounding effect of having a rest day after a year would massively increase.
I actually think it would massively, well, there's two different ways you could look at this. Is taking one rest day every week, is that rest period and recovery, is that better so that you can train harder on the other days? Because that's the idea of a rest day. Yeah. The rest day isn't really so much about letting the muscles rebuild and recoup. That's maybe part of it. But the other part of it is just so that you can have a better workout the next workout, right? And that's why like you don't do speed work. If you're a track athlete, you don't do speed work every day. You do it once on Monday, maybe later in the week, probably just once a week, right? Yeah. You do that so you can increase the quality of the effort. But the way I look at it was, if I took a day off every week, then by the end of the year, I had taken off, 50 days. If I had done workouts on those days, something, not necessarily, a speed workout, but some kind of workout, would I be 50 sessions better? Yeah. Like who is going to be the better athlete? The one who had 50 more sessions, or the person who took the rest days? And that's a really hard question. But I think generally when you look at the guys and gals who are the absolute best at their sports, like the legends, the Kobe Bryants, the Michael Jordans, the LeBron James, they're not the ones that were taking a rest day every day or every week, right? Like they were like, every day I'm in and I'm working, I'm doing something. And so I just, but the other side of that is like, you don't go 100% every day. Yeah. When you take the mindset that you are going to work out every day, you have to bake in your own recovery cycle into that. So you're like, okay, Monday, and that's part of knowing your body. and listening to it and being like, okay, today I was going to go 100%, but I'm actually just going to go 85% because I have this thing over here. It's not feeling great. Like, I'm just not going to push that super hard. I'll go hard tomorrow. Right. Or, oh, I was going to do that leg workout today, but honestly, those legs, like I would get a better workout if I do something else today, come back to it tomorrow. I can get a better workout that way. Right. But you have to understand like your rhythms. And that's actually kind of a hard thing to do if you haven't been like really in tune with your body.
Yeah.
But as like an athlete, if you grew up with that, then you start to understand like when you can push and when you need to pull back just slightly in the workout.
I see. So it's almost like you're freestyling a little bit along the way.
Yeah, and this is the same with like entrepreneurship, right? Like is that we make our schedules. And one of the great things about being an entrepreneur is that you get to take a day off, afternoon off, you can take the weekend off, you can do all that stuff, right? One of the reasons people get into entrepreneurship is because they don't like working a W-2 that forces them into this paradigm of working 5 days and then having 2 days off. And they're looking forward to those 2 days off, and all the other 5 days are kind of a shit show. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you can like create your life and you can do the work in a way where you're like, I don't need time off, right? I think that's Dan Martell's definition of what is it? An empire is like to create a life or create a life of work that you never need to retire from or something like that, right? And that's the idea of like do something that you love, you never work a day in your life. But you also, as an entrepreneur, then like when your life just becomes about all like working all the time and you're doing the 7 days a week, right? Then you have to figure out your rhythms because you're not going to show up every day and be at your peak. Yeah. And so you have to figure out, okay, today or even in this time chunk. In the mornings, I can give my best. In the afternoons, I cannot. And like even just understanding that paradigm, because like really what we're talking about here, the thing that blew your mind was reframing this idea of a rest day and saying like everybody says you need to take a rest day for working out purposes. But who decided that? Like that's an arbitrary period of time. What does that actually have to do with the science of like muscular recovery? Does it have anything? Or did we just pick an arbitrary because the sun comes up and goes down during this period, that must be when your body is like optimally recovered, right? In the same way, the paradigm of a week or a month or a year is completely arbitrary. Yeah. Right? And so let's chunk that down and realize that the chunk of a day is arbitrary. And so the idea that I'm going to wake up, I'm going to give 100% today, what does that even mean? Like, can the human give 100% for a 16-hour period? Not really. Not for like for certain types of work, perhaps, but like not really. So like when you even look at the arbitrary nature of a day, you start to say, well, why am I structuring it like this? Why am I structuring my day in an 8-hour work chunk? Does that even make sense? Well, it makes sense when we were factory workers and we had shifts. Like from 8 until 5, and then the next shift would come in from 5 until 2, right? And then from 2 till 8, right? So like shift work is why we're in that rhythm, but it's not necessarily because that's the best rhythm for doing your best work. And so then you look at it and you're like, oh, forget working for a 15-hour day. I'm going to work for a 4-hour day, and then I'm going to take 4 hours off, and then I'm going to work for 4 hours, and then I'm going to take the night off, and then I'm going to wake up the next day. I'm going to work for 4 hours, and then I'm going to take 4. Right? You could do that. But it comes to understanding your rhythm and like what works best for you. And that's why, we talk about time blocking your day where you do your creative work in the morning and you do your kind of manager or administrative work in the afternoon. But even like if you were to truly design your best schedule in an environment where you optimized for the work output, it probably wouldn't be in that structure. Yeah. You would probably wake up and do your work, your most important creative work first. And then you'd probably take a bunch of time off. Yes. Right? You'd probably go away for 4 hours and do something else. And then you'd come back and be like, okay, I'm going to put the next 4 hours into admin, or I'm going to do whatever, right? But the reason we do it in the 8-hour chunk is, again, because of societal expectation. This is when businesses are open from that time to that time. So if you're going to do business, you do them during business hours, right? Or your loved ones are at work or at school. So it makes sense for you to chunk it all down here. But again, it's all an arbitrary time frame. It's not designed, it was never designed to say this is the best way to structure your life, your work. And I think taking a step back and evaluating that, whether it's your fitness and you're working out and you're like, oh, do I really need a rest day? Or could I really just actually get a workout in every day? Or could I do 2 workouts in every single day? There's a crazy idea, right?
Yeah.
Top athletes, how many workouts are they doing a day, right? So it's like, if you wanted to be like the best, you wouldn't just do one a day, and you wouldn't take rest days. You'd be doing 2 a days. You'd be doing 3 a days, right? Kobe Bryant, you'd be doing 4 a days, right? Yeah. So I think that's just a really important thing, especially as you're an entrepreneur, you start to take control of your schedule. And this is the idea that you either own your schedule or your schedule owns you. And if you don't direct your schedule with intention, if you don't understand why you've laid it out the way that it is, and you just are going through the motions because that's how everybody else has said we do it, then you're going to get a suboptimal result.